Halo has a big problem with its turrets. Now that hyperbolic title is out of the way, what do I mean by that? Introduced in Halo 2 as simple stationary guns, and then fleshed out into a weapon type of their own in Halo 3, turrets, or support weapons, were basically action hero devices. The idea is that they are these heavy-hitting weapons with tons of ammo, range, and destructive capabilities. And if you're feeling particularly cool, you can violently tear them off their tripods. If the player did this in Halo 3, they'd be rewarded with the sound of wires snapping and metal grinding as Chief irreparably breaks this presumably expensive piece of military equipment, just so he can carry it around and look awesome. The animation work of the Halo 3 turret is confident, powerful, and destructive, with excellent sound work to boot. The power fantasy of the moment is enhanced by the camera angle, which is in third person, giving you full view of yourself. And the rotating barrel on the front really sells the excitement of dragging a giant minigun around. It makes you kind of feel like the Terminator. Firing the minigun causes the screen to rumble and shake under its sheer power. The barrel spins itself up, getting faster and faster. A visual that we all associate with the archetypal minigun. Shells start flying, and the recoil needs to be controlled with the joystick or mouse, allowing the player themselves to participate in the act of controlling the kick of this hungry monster. The presentation is even strong on the receiving end of the weapon, as it kicks dust and dirt into the air convincingly, eating away at the ground and grass. Halo 3's turret is an example of a weapon's sheer presentation doing wonders to encourage its usage, even if it's relatively hard to use. Just whatever you do, don't walk forward and to the right as an elite carrying this thing. Somebody at Bungie goofed up with the elite walk animations, and they gave us this. As the series went on, though, I feel the presentation and sheer charisma of the turret began to dissipate. It began for me in Halo Reach, when the rotating barrel and the split bullet shield was replaced with something a bit more standard. Already, a bit of magic is lost via the removal of the rotating barrel. The aggressive animations of tearing it off its tripod were also toned down a little bit, and the sound of metal grinding and wires snapping were replaced with something that sounds a little bit more mechanical, suggesting that the Spartan is detaching it from its tripod instead of breaking it off, which is a little bit less cool. I always envision the idea of tearing the support weapons off their tripod as the gameplay embodiment of that moment when Chief gets a really dumb idea and flies a bomb directly into a Covenant cruiser in Halo 2. You can almost visualize a Halo 3 Marine's shocked face as Chief sort of comes up and, "I have an idea. I'm taking this with me," and just tears it off the tripod, followed by a weak, "Sir, we could have detached it for you," as Chief lugs the minigun away in his hands, bits of metal sparks and wires dragging on the floor behind him. In Halo 4, sadly, things went a bit further. The aggressive and action movie animations were replaced with, well, I'm not quite sure what to call this, but it's a very happy looking bounce. When walking, the Spartan in Halo 4 actually does look quite intimidating, but begin running, and they sort of look like a toy trying to catch up to their friends. It's not helped by the very unflattering camera angle that just makes it look even more bouncy and happy. Halo 4 attempted to make up for this by giving the muzzle flash a cool heat effect, but by the time Halo 5 rolled around, the heat effect was completely removed, and when manning it on its bipod, there's absolutely no screen shake, which makes it feel very flat and kind of weightless, and when running around with it, there's virtually no screen shake, which, again, makes it just kind of feel sterile. And even the impacts of the bullets were downgraded. No more dirt, dust, and debris, just sparks. It was given a rotating barrel, but guess what? You can't really see the rotating barrel because it's confusingly covered up in a protective metal sheet. Is this more realistic to protect the mechanisms of the weapon? Sure, but what's the point of a rotating barrel if we can't see it? And what's stranger is when carrying it around, the barrel appears to be bugged, and it just doesn't spin. What was once this incredibly powerful gameplay moment, a Spartan showing their strength on the field by manning a Marine's machine gun encampment and saying, "Nah, this is coming with me," and just tearing it out of the ground it was placed into, was reduced over the course of 5 years into this flat, sterile thing with no weight or power behind it. Chief safely removes it from its tripod, careful not to break it. Chief then proceeds to safely shoot it with no screen shake or recoil. Don't worry, this thing's not that dangerous. And when he needs to get somewhere with it, he just happily bounces along his way. Unflattering camera angle making the bouncing look adorable, rather than badass and menacing. Is this nitpicking? You bet it's nitpicking. But I never want to undersell the importance, the power of strong visual presentation. Obviously, gameplay does matter, but visual presentation also matters. And it's the small things that go a long way to make something feel good or memorable to use. The turret could use some love. It needs to feel awesome to use again.